So y'all know what? I want to know. Is the man cheating or is the man lying? Y'all chime down in the chatterization and let me know what the man doing. Scott, what's going on in that good household? Who is the life coach? We got a lot of questions and we're going to dive on into this episode and we're going to get into the good stuff. And I want to know, before we even jump this thing off, we're talking about Married to Medicine, season 8, the season finale, episode 16, right before the reunion. And when I tell you, last night had me sitting there gagging and just choking, and I thought my eyes were sweating a little bit, getting a little misty eye. It was all kinds of things. Now listen, before we get into that, I need to know where you guys are watching from. You know, all my people, let me know in the chatterization where you are watching from. I see we got Tacoma, Washington up in this good building, okay? Atlanta and Chi-Town into his naive. Come on now. We got Nevis. Come on, New Haven, Connecticut, Flower Mound, Texas, Alabama, Atlanta, Los Angeles, Chicago. See y'all this weekend. Bowie, right down the street, Baton Rouge, Louisiana. I can't even talk today. South Africa is in the his naive. DC, NC, Baltimore, Louisville, Kentucky. Hey, Canada, I see you. Canada. Come on, Springfield, Massachusetts, Vegas, baby. Silver Spring down the street, okay? Naples, Boston, Paris. Come on, send us love from Paris. We got that. Detroit, Tanzania up in the building, okay? Listen, we got to get into it. Now, in full disclosure, we will not be speaking about Watch What Happens Live tonight. Today. Last night, Quad and Contessa were on Watch What Happens Live, and there's a lot to cover with that. I got a lot of notes on that. So we will be covering that tomorrow, just to give you guys that information right off the rip. So no spoilers for those who haven't seen it. But we will be discussing it tomorrow in tomorrow's live. And tomorrow's video will be live, okay? Because I already got the topics planned, okay? Actually, I would go live twice today. And I would actually have talked about Watch What Happens Live today, but the video will be extra long. And I don't want to make it that long. So we're going to cover it tomorrow. Now, with that being said, I want you guys, y'all know how we do it on this channel. We rate this episode on a scale of 1 to 10. And I want you guys to know, I want you guys to tell me what you would rate this episode on a scale of 1 to 10. And I'm about to tell you what I would rate it, okay? Let me see those ratings in the chatterization. Because for me, I'm going to rate this episode. Hey, we got Tina's in the building. Hey, Richie Skye, sending love from the Sunshine State. We see you. Thank you, boo. Thank you. Uh-oh, I see y'all coming in with these. I see y'all coming in, okay? I got to tell y'all, normally I rate these episodes on a scale of 1 to 10, but Corey, I'm with you. I give it a 20. That was going to be my initial rating off the rip, okay? I was like, I can't even rate it on the same scale that we've been rating past episodes on, because this episode, to me, this episode took me higher, okay? And I made a post last night on Instagram, and I said, listen, you know, Married to Medicine is one of the best shows on Bravo TV. And to be quite honest with you, I kind of feel like, you know, it was just so good. You know, let me read you guys what I said in my IG stories, because I think it's important. I said, you know, Married to Medicine is one of the best shows on Bravo TV. Real friendships and relationships, pure comedy, dramatic and insane fights, a dynamic cast with great personal stories. Season 8 set the bar. Let's start filming season 9 next week, okay? And then I also said this, and I must elaborate on my message. They shot meaningful episodes during a pandemic. They addressed racial injustices. They didn't over-rely on social media beefs to fuel the season, but they were a delight to watch play out on and off the screen. I also said there was no headlining scandal that took over the season, but there were clues that we were in for something big. Scott and Contessa. Additionally, there was no real villain role assigned. A mark of a great show is when everyone is right and everyone is also wrong. Okay? to be honest with you, I was trying to think of how I would describe it to you guys. And those tweets from last night really encapsulate how I feel about this season, especially this finale. I also want to talk to you guys about, I also, thank you for that. I also want to talk to you guys about, I do still wish Mariah was on this season. And I do want to say that the season got better as time went on. There have been some seasons of some shows, like with Atlanta, I was actually kind of ready for the season to be over. With Married to Medicine, I wasn't ready for it to be over. In fact, I felt like it was just starting to heat up. I felt like all the ladies were firing on all cylinders. The men were getting involved in a meaningful way. And I just feel like we were just getting started. We were just scratching the surface when they ended. And last night's episode did not disappoint in not one iota, okay? And we're about to get into it, but the first thing that I want to talk about is there's a beef online between Dr. Contessa and Carrie Wells. So as you guys know, there was a clip making its way around with Carrie Wells telling Toya Bush Harris that she overheard an argument taking place betwixt Dr. Contessa and her husband, Dr. Scott, in which she was addressing the photos in his phone, okay? And whether or not he was requesting them or what was going on with that situation. He claimed he don't know how they got there. But there's more to that story, and we'll get into it in a second. So Dr. Contessa, she did not like that one bit. So our friends from the Married to Medicine source, who, if you guys aren't following them, follow them. Listen, those are my people over there. They happen to catch this comment. And Contessa says, eavesdropping on married couples conversation. She calls it ass wipe. Okay. She had also in a previous post called Carrie a devil. Okay. She also called her a devil, but there was a preceding curse word in front of that. So that's why I didn't place that on the screen. Let's see here. We had a super chat from Tay B. Says Scott has self-elimination from the marriage. Okay. Pretty much. Thank you for that super chat. So also Carrie Wells decided that she needed to explain herself after Contessa had, kind of cleared her with that. And she said this. She posted this to her Instagram. She said, for the record, I was in a co-joined room. I awoke to screaming. I did not eavesdrop. I was deeply concerned for Contessa's well-being. As women, we have all been lied to at some point, and I could relate to her pain. If I wanted to share anyone's dirty laundry, there is a lot more that I could have said, but I chose not to. Carrie girl, well, what else happened? Okay, tell me what happened. What else did you hear? What else was said? Because now I want to know, since you're telling us this little bit, I want to know what else was said. Anyway, she goes on to say, not even with Toya Bush Harris. But ultimately, so she says that she didn't share it with nobody, okay? But ultimately, if I have caused her any pain by discussing it with Toya, then I apologize. See, I have to say this about the apology. I respect an apology, but I hate the if-then. If I did something, then I apologize. No, you obviously did something, so apologize. But on the flip side of that, Dr. Scott and Dr. Contessa, if you don't want nobody to hear what you're saying, y'all got to scream quietly, okay? You got to have a whisper argument when people are around. You can't be screaming at the top of your lungs at each other and expect not nobody to hear and expect for not nobody to not say nothing, okay? So you're gonna have to scream quietly, okay? You're gonna have to whisper your concerns to the other person, especially when you're in a hotel room full of people and your castmates, okay? Now, that's all I got to say about that. Meanwhile, let's get into the episode. Now, to start this thing off, I got to tell y'all something. Before this episode, I was on the fence about Anila, okay? I said, I don't know. I don't like nobody that don't pay their makeup artist. Y'all know that's a problem for me. Mostly because I still got a lot of friends who work in the beauty industry. You know what I'm saying? So I always feel like, and I hear their stories. And so I'm very empathetic about, people not paying them and stuff like that. And it just chaps my butt. You know what I'm saying? So when I heard that on the bus, when Toya outed her on the bus for not paying the people, it really stung me and just rubbed me the wrong way. But as the season went on, I began to feel like Toya was kind of mistreating Anila a little bit, yelling at her the same way she had yelled at Lisa Nicole on her live and stuff like that, and so much so that Dr. Heavenly even called her a Muppet. Okay, so I was like, I was starting to warm up to Anila. But last night, let me tell you something. If they don't bring Anila back for season 9, they better, okay? Because this first scene right here with Anila took me out. And it was the fight that I did not know that I needed, okay? It was everything, and I was so here for it. Anila comes running up to the bar with Dr. Heavenly and and Quad are sitting there having drinks. And she's like, hey, girls, drinks on me, okay? And she's like, bartender, give me the most expensive thing on your menu, okay? And so the bartender's like, oh, well, coming right up. And she's like, well, here, take this Veuve Clicquot, okay? And so they gets to drinking. But little do anybody else know at the time, okay, is that Anila then got Lisa Nicole Cloud's hotel room, and she is putting the bill on Lisa Nicole's room because Lisa Nicole did not pay her for posting the Lisa Nicole designs on her IG story as she does as an influencer, okay? So Anila said, if I don't get your money one way, I'm going to get it another, okay? I'm going to drink it, okay? That's what I'm going to do. So they proceeds to ordering drinks. They tossing them back so much so that Quad ends up sick later, okay? They was drinking a lot. They also take home three bottles. I think it was 3 bottles, okay? And we find out that Anila did invoice Lisa Nicole the night before, but obviously Lisa Nicole ain't pay that tab, okay? So then the total bill is about $595. So they get up and leave, and Quad basically tell the man, here, put the tip on room 103 too, because that's where Lisa Nicole is staying, okay? Because she know now. They in on the joke now. So this is about to be some mess later. So keep this in mind, okay? I had no idea what this was going to lead to yesterday, but it was a pure delight to watch it unravel, okay? So we're going to come back to that, okay? So meanwhile, Toya is in another room talking to Lisa Nicole, and they hanging out, and she's saying she ain't seen Anila have fun yet. Well, she should have been at that bar, okay? She should have been at that bar because she could have stopped that whole thing from happening or drank with them, okay? Anyway, but she's still mad at Anila for some reason or another, so she ain't trying to be fun with Anila at this point. Anyway, Dr. Jackie and Simone have plans to take Anila out to keep her away from the other girls. So they going to take a golf trek around the island or whatever. Now, I really wouldn't have wanted to do this because to me, I mean, it just seemed kind of boring, although the island does seem beautiful. They try to talk to Anila about giving Toya some space, as she definitely should do, okay? Because I feel like Toya is not your friend, girl. And don't take this to mean that I dislike Toya. I like Toya. I like her a lot, but Anila, she not your friend, okay? Dr. Simone says that she and Jackie have not been able to have just a fight, a pure knockdown, drag out fight in their whole debate and their whole friendship. So then they get to rolling around on the ground or whatever. And all I'm thinking about as they rolling around on the ground is, aren't y'all concerned about ticks? I am not about to lay up on nobody's ground, not on the grass, not on the pure ground with the worms and the butt. No. Just not gonna do it. Okay. Marie Michelle Gray says when Dr. Heavenly tried to pay Gary, I felt like, oh, we gonna get to it, Marie. Meanwhile, Dr. Heavenly and Contessa and the other girls are headed out to the shrimp boat. Now, this would have been the boat, the excursion that I would have wanted to be on anyway. But they discussed the men convincing Dr. Scott to come down for a Ponderosa. And Dr. Contessa is not sure how that's gonna go. Now, I would get into the specifics about the shrimp boat ride, but that's not really important here. They did it and it was done. What's really important here is the fact that the men begin to arrive and no one has told Dr. Scott why he is there. Okay. Now I'm going to go ahead and let y'all know. I think that this is wrong. Okay. And we got into a debate about it last night, but we're going to get into that in a second. The men arrive. Scott gets there while Contessa is on the phone with the kids, and he wants to spend some quality time. Okay, we got another super chat in the building. Isata says, I'm so ready for Potomac and Marriage Huntsville and want Mariah to come back to Married to Medicine. I'm ready for them too. Okay. So, Contessa wants to know how the men got him there. He doesn't know what he's in for and that he's in for an intervention because Cecil didn't tell him. Okay. Now, Curtis confides in Jackie that he's hesitant about this dinner because that's where it's about to go down. All right. So then the next thing we know, they are off to dinner. They're riding in the golf carts. They headed off to the dinner. We got a super chat in the building. Ashley Moore says, Anila had me dying laughing when she said, call the police. They're looking for her anyway. Woo, we're going to get to it, y'all. We're going to get to it. Hold that thought. Okay, we got to get through this dinner first. Ooh. Okay, so they gather for dinner. And before the drinks are poured, before anybody could even open an appetizer, Heavenly gets things jumped off, and she says, we're glad you're here, Scott. Now we got some questions for you. Oh. Now, the reality of this situation is that whole scene right there was really awkward. And I think it really put Scott on the defensive. And I definitely don't think that was the right approach. You know, I think that what they should have done was at least gotten into the dinner, gotten into some general couples conversation, and then sort of let them ease their way into a dialogue about it. But I think that confronting him like that off the rip, when he has no idea why he's really there, I think was uncalled for. But I also think that the way he handled it was equally as uncalled for, okay? It was equally as uncalled for. Because I would not have handled it that way. And I think that he could have handled it a lot more smoothly because the way he came off was not good, okay? So Contessa says, I felt like I needed the counsel of my sisters, okay? And Quad jumps in and she says, well, when your marriage is in dire need, okay, that's what you do. Toya then jumps in. And then Scott seems blindsided in this moment. Now, he begins to answer questions for Contessa. And she seems desperately apologetic. So he's like, I got this. She knows we're good. We're good. We got this. This ain't nothing but a bump in the road. They don't know nothing about us. This ain't nothing but a bump in the road. And as he's doing this, he's standing up. He begins to walk over to Contessa, who is visibly crying and shaking and looking very afraid for whatever reason, okay? And at this point, it's uncomfortable for me to watch, okay? It's uncomfortable because I really like Dr. Contessa and I really like Dr. Scott. I think that they got some issues, but in my mind, up until this point, I had thought they can be easily worked out. You know what I'm saying? But watching this scene play out, I was left feeling very disturbed, okay? But as disturbed as I am right now, it's not going to even equal how disturbed I was in the next thing that we have to talk about. So they begin to leave, and he's complaining about none of those people being marriage counselors. She could barely respond, and all we know is that she was ready to go. Now, I wrote that Curtis is right. They did put Dr. Scott on the defensive, but then Quad airs everything out because the men did not know about Scott finding a therapist 7 months ago who is a woman who he found online, who he is not paying, okay? So there was also the fact that the children are talking about Scott having a girlfriend that is not Dr. Contessa. So Curtis says the men didn't have all that information, and I agree with him. This is the one time I felt like Curtis was speaking some truth, but that's probably because Curtis been in this situation before in some way, shape, or form. Y'all know what I'm talking about, okay? Mountain Kitty, Contessa's mad at Carrie when she need to be mad at Scott and those bucket naked photos in his phone. She's speaking up to Carrie, but cowered down in front of Ike Turner at that table like he dared anime. That marriage is toxic. Thank you, Mountain Kitty, for that super chat. It's so many things that I do have to say. I did feel like Dr. Heavenly was, in my opinion, wrong for going at it so hard in the beginning. But not to get too much into Watch What Happens Live, but Contessa did not feel like Dr. Heavenly was wrong for that. I did feel like Quad had a lot to say, and I don't know if she's the best person for them to listen to when it comes to marital advice. Not to say that Quad doesn't know, but Quad did not stay in her marriage. She left. And that's not a bad thing. That was the decision that was for her. But it would have been more interesting to listen to or to hear Dr. Jackie's perspective or Dr. Simone's perspective in that situation. Mariana B says, on a quick positive note, can we talk about how beautiful Dr. Contessa and her body is banging? Yes, this is why it's so difficult for me to understand. Dr. Contessa is such a beautiful woman. And it's so odd to me that he would even, I don't know. It's I guess maybe cheating is a psychological thing, not a physical thing. Or maybe it is a physical thing and not a psychological thing. I don't know. We could debate that all night. But anyway, I agree with you. She looked great. So Cecil recounts that Scott told them that he didn't have a life coach, and cue the footage. And we go back and see that Dr. Scott did say he did not have a life coach. So here's where we start to unravel some of the mystery and some of the lies. Okay. And I'm going to call it a straight up lie because that's what it is. All right. Quad is confused at seeing Dr. Contessa cower so meekly to Scott when she is, in general, a woman who has been in the military and is, kind of a boss and stuff like that. That's why it was so disturbing to watch her reaction to him and to watch his reaction to her. It looked very manipulative on his part, in my eyes. That's how it felt to me. And you guys let me know what you think about it, but that's how it felt, okay? Because he was not even letting her speak. He was speaking for her. It was very strange. Dr. Heavenly texts Contessa to see if she's okay. Contessa texts back and says it is what it is. Now, Quad and Dr. Heavenly decide to leave the table and they go to the room to check on Scott and Contessa. Now, I'm shocked that Scott let them in because after that situation, if it was me and I was him, they wouldn't be coming in the room. But oddly, he lets them in. So Quad starts an inquisition, okay? She starts asking Dr. Scott about how he's feeling. Dr. Heavenly asks him straight up about the life coach. Scott then says he has a life coach named Kevin Johnson. And then he says he just said some ish to Contessa. So he told the men he didn't have a life coach. He told Contessa he had a life coach. He was talking to a life coach that he was not paying, that he found on the Google, and that was a woman. Now he's saying that the life coach is named Kevin Johnson. Kevin Johnson, please come to the front of the classroom, please, because I don't understand. This feels like a lie to me. Okay, this feels like a lie. It feels like a lie. It feels like a lie. Okay? Which one is it, Scott? You're going to have to make up your mind. What is the truth here? Okay? Contessa says that it's basically, in her confessional, she says it's like a mind F, okay? And it really is. And I wrote in my notes, something is missing. Something is missing, okay? Something is missing here. And so he walks out and tells them that they need to stop talking about all this. And then the conversation devolves from there and they leave the room. Side note, they are really going hard with the promo for Potomac, okay? They did this whole thing last night talking about how I'm going to be Potomac for life to Nicki Minaj's Moment for Life. I was like, I ain't ever seen Bravo do this much promo since back in the day. Back in the day, Bravo used to do some mad I mean, some good old nasty promo for their shows. But they are really hyping up Potomac. So I'm kind of excited about that, okay? Anyway. So Dr. Heavenly ends up, the next day, Dr. Heavenly recaps the evening with Dr. Jackie. Quad recaps the evening with Anila. They surmise that Scott and Contessa were probably arguing all night. Looks like they're right, okay? Carrie's room was also next to Dr. Scott's, which we already know because we talked about it earlier. So Carrie goes to Toya's room. She's all distraught and a quiver, okay? And she relays what she heard. At 8 a.m., Contessa and Scott were screaming at each other. Contessa was screaming about why Scott has naked women sending him pictures that he requested. Now, he's allegedly denying it and saying he doesn't know how they got on his phone. So what, you just left your AirDrop on and all of a sudden the pictures fell out the sky? What? How you don't know how these pictures got on your phone? Houseway, how? How don't you know how they... Melissa, thank you for that super chat. Says Contessa's eyes were looking almost like an abused woman. She was crying out for help. No, not saying physically. Hi, Richie. Hey, boo. Thank you for that super chat. How? Houseway? How these photos get up in your phone? Anyway. Whew. It's so confusing. So Toya and Carrie decide to go knock on the door. Scott again answers the door. Why do you keep letting these people in? I don't know. I feel like if you just spent all this time yelling at your wife, why do you want these people coming up into your room? So anyway, he lets them in and he says they're fine and he walks out. Contessa will not let the producers in. The producers cannot come into her room. And I was like, ooh. She said no, okay? No, you won't do this. But good thing they still had their mics on, so we could still hear the conversation. Carrie and Toya tell her that he is lying. Contessa says she knows and that he basically won't admit to it. And then she complains about this being the case for the past 5 years. So let me ask you a question. Have y'all been unhappy for the past 15 years? That's what I need to know. And how long has this been going on? Because I still feel like something is missing. And that's when we get it all, okay? We're about to get it all in the confessionals, okay? Because Scott talks to the men. And in the confessional, he says that he has never responded to a picture, but has he ever tried to, but he has also never tried to get to know this person. And I want to pull this up for you guys real quick. Because I want to be verbatim with what he said. And I posted this last night. Give me 1 second, y'all. I'm going to pull this up because the neighborhood talk caught exactly what they said. Let me pull it up. Give me 1 second. I'm pulling it up right now, y'all. So he does have the women sending him naked photos to his DM. And then he says, but I'm not getting to know them. Okay? Sounds to me like you're getting to know them quite well. Okay? You might not know their names, but you doggone sure know what they look like under their clothes. Okay? So I don't understand how you could be saying you're not getting to know them. You know them intimately, at least from the pictures. Okay? You know a lot more about them than a lot of other people do, unless they sending those photos to everybody, okay? In which case they probably are. And that's the thing about somebody sending news. If they sending them to you, they probably didn't send them to some other people too. So you ain't the only one, okay? Know this. Anyway, so this was a real aha moment for me, okay? So in my mind, there seems to be some other woman or women involved in this situation, okay? Because Contessa is refusing to answer any questions about the pictures in the confessional. And she basically says, this is between you and him. I don't know nothing about this. But you do. Okay? You know something. You know something, and you know something more than we know. Something is going on here that we're not getting the whole truth of the matter. And I feel like they talking around it. Okay. Now I don't know if the women are hitting him up because he's on the show. And I ain't saying that they need to get a divorce because of it. Because people go through things in their marriage. And anybody that's been in a long-term relationship, I'm sure they can probably tell you it's just gonna happen. But what I am saying is that it's confusing the way this is all unraveling, particularly in light of what we've seen on social media with them recently celebrating, was it his 50th birthday or their anniversary or something like that, which we're going to talk about in just a second as well, too. Okay. Bruce says, I'm going to keep saying this, but I'm forever confused because their social media doesn't reflect anything that's going on the show, but I digress. Bruce, don't digress. Hang on to that thought because we're going to come back to that. Anyway, the ladies are all packing up to leave. Lisa Nicole is checking out, and she finds out about that $600 balance that Anila had left for her in the beginning of the episode when her and Dr. Heavenly and Quad bought them bottles of Vouv under Lisa Nicole's name, under her room, okay? And now she getting the bill, okay? Now, what we didn't really, I didn't really realize is that Lisa Nicole don't even really drink. So this is equally as insane to me that this has happened, okay? Toya then brings Anila over, and Lisa says that it's against the law, and Lisa threatens to call the police. Now, I could have sworn Anila said something to the effect that, I mean, go ahead and call the police. You was the one on the news last week. Let me tell you something. This, to me, was Anila's moment. I loved every bit of this scene. And if I was Lisa Nicole, I would have just been a boss and put down my credit card and been like, girl, this $600 ain't nothing to me. Boom. But she was fighting so hard. It was almost like, girl, you ain't got it? You ain't get no per diem for this or nothing like that? I mean, come on now. Subi Black Native says all women know about abuse when we see it. He better let them in. Contestant scared of Scott, obviously. Woo! Thank you for that super chat. If y'all hear my dog barking, it's because the Uber Eats person downstairs delivering the food, okay? A brother got to eat, okay? Anyway, so they get to yelling at each other outside. It is literally hilarious to me. Heavenly volunteers to chip in to pay the bill. I feel like Carrie ended up paying the bill. Did Carrie pay the bill or no? Somebody let me know because I couldn't tell what was going on. I couldn't tell if she paid the bill or not. And I noticed that they were taking SUVs back instead of taking Lisa Nicole's RV, which I thought was kind of strange. Why not take the RV? But maybe because the women wanted to also ride with the husbands. So anyway, y'all, listen. That was last night's episode of Married to Medicine. It was all types of good. It was all types of crazy. The ending, basically, I mean, you know, I was kind of like, what are we doing here? Why are we ending this season on this note? I felt like we could have gotten another 2 or 3 episodes out of this. Thankfully, the reunion is next week. Everybody's title card rolls around. We learned that Dr. Heavenly is working with her son on the rental. Dr. Simone is running around with Miles. Dr. Jackie is working on her podcast with Curtis. Toya and Eugene are spending more time together, but they're not explaining that they put the house back on the market, which I don't understand why. Anila's new house is looking amazing and finally finished at $3 million. Quad is still living a single life, and Scott and Contessa are vacationing more. Now, here's another thing. Everyone is confused by Dr. Scott's and Contessa's IG posts as well. That was one of the things that Heavenly commented on at the end of the show. So they too see the Instagram post that we all see, and they are trying to figure out what is really going on in this marriage, because we're seeing one thing on the show and we're seeing one thing on social media. And it's very confusing to us as viewers, and not only to us as viewers, but also to the castmates. So what's really going on here? Was Dr. Scott cheating? Do you guys consider this cheating if he's receiving naked photos from other women? Chime down in the chatterization. Is this cheating, or is he just guilty of lying? Because we know he lied. Okay, that seems apparent. He told us two different things. Three different things, actually. He told the men he's not seeing a life coach. He told Contessa he was seeing a woman. And he told the Heavenly Aquad that he's seen a man named Kevin Johnson. Okay. Santane says we needed a 2-hour finale. We kind of did. And honestly, they need to start back filming very, very soon. This is one of those shows they need to go ahead and start back filming right away. Okay. Right away. We don't need no year-long break in between. We don't need no year-long break. I'm going to need y'all to bring back Lisa Nicole. I'm going to need y'all to bring back Carrie Wells. I'm going to need y'all to make Quad full-time. And I would even like for you guys to bring back Mariah, to be quite honest with you, because I felt like she would have added another dash of mess to this season, and it would have exploded. Okay? It would have exploded. Now, I know some of the women don't like Mariah, and I just have to say, well, I'm sorry for you. Okay? So there are a lot of us out here in the fandom that do. Okay? The show was just getting good and it ended. And I can't even fault them for it, because I would rather them go out on a high note. You know what I'm saying? It felt like the season was so short because it kept getting so good at the end. And I want this to be such a huge lesson to the network production companies, in that you don't need to have this one main villain who's doing all of these shenanigans to make the storyline go round. If you have a dynamic cast with dynamic personalities and dynamic stories, you never have to worry about curating drama for the sake of trying to keep us interested. Okay? You never have to worry about one storyline dominating the entire season, so much so that we, the audience, get tired of watching and hearing about it. I would rather you have a 16-episode season than an 18-episode season where you have stretched us to the point of capacity and we are no longer interested in it. I want to see real marriages on the screen. I want to see the cast of real friends, because whether you like some of these women or not, there are real friendship groups in this show. There are real marriages in this show. And what I love to see on this show is when there is a problem in one of the marriages, the rest of the crew will rally around that couple to help them work through it. Thank you for the super chat. Asata says, Real Housewives of Atlanta was not good to me. Thank you for that super chat. You know, Real Housewives of Atlanta, I think that I always try to look at things like an opportunity, and I think that they have an opportunity to hopefully get it right next time. You know, interestingly enough, a lot of what happened on Atlanta and OC was blamed on the pandemic. I think that Married to Medicine proved that you can film in a pandemic and you can still get it right. And they did. So that can't be an excuse no more. They even had to shut down a couple of times. So, with that being said, I want to just shout out all the ladies for an amazing season. Dr. Simone, Dr. Jackie, Toya, Dr. Heavenly, Anila, Quad, Dr. Contessa, Lisa Nicole, Carrie Wells. I hope I didn't forget anybody, but all of y'all, y'all knocked it out of the park, and the men brought it as well. And I can't even get out of here, KL Mitchell. Okay, you know Kevin Johnson ain't coming. But yes, tomorrow on tomorrow's live, we're going to be talking about we're gonna do our reaction to and our review for Watch What Happens Live with Contestant and Quad, because there's a lot to cover there, a lot of shade being thrown by Quad. It was really, really good. And we got a couple of other stories to talk about as well from the weekend. So I hope you guys will tune in tomorrow. I would do a second live today, but I have an event to go to. So I'm going to be going to a screening for In the Heights. So we'll recap this tomorrow, and we'll be back with another live tomorrow. And make sure you guys subscribe to the channel if you haven't done so already. And I will catch you guys in the next video. And y'all remember, if ain't nobody told you today, I love you. Enjoy your Monday.